What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Good evening, man. 6 p.m. stream. There's been a lot going on today. Big up to Mina coming through. Big up to Cam coming in as well. Good little setup today. Good cast today. Big up to Owen as well. Big up to you guys at home. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We have to talk. We have to talk, man. Because there are rumors. Rumors are spreading. Gregory Isaacs setting. Owen, you might go, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's reggae, but you can look at that later on. Just Google Gregory Isaacs rumors and you go, oh, okay, Flex actually used that quite well. No intro song. We did have intro song, or do they mean a different one? Okay, yeah.
It's that Champions League intro song that you lot set us up with.
No, it wasn't you lot. It wasn't you lot. It was KG.
Whoever it was.
We spoke about that this morning. About that this morning. And
less said about
I said, you know, I did have veto on that and I signed it off, which that's on me as CEO. Yeah. I shouldn't have. When they brought that to me and said, this is the finished article, these are the lyrics, this is what it is, I should have said, we're not doing that. But I signed it off and I apologize. Yeah. Won't be doing that again. And just right on cue, the man who even did that, and it's all his fault, is Mr. Josh Media.
Ban him from the channel.
Yeah. Lincoln Lawyer says, man like Cam rolled in for tactics for the tax after hearing about Potter. No messing about. Right, you know what, because actually it's not funny. Let's get into what's going on here. Owen, what's been the story of the day so we can start depicting this? Big up to all you guys that get involved in the chat.
This was an interesting one because a report came out from The Sun last night from Neil Custis basically saying that Graham Potter was going to be Sir Jim Ratcliffe's pick to replace Erik Ten Hag. If indeed Ten Hag was sacked, once Inos come in, 25% is ratified, etc., etc., etc. Now, very quickly, that was kind of dismissed by a lot of people. It's not true. And let's be honest, Neil Custis' recent track record has been iffy, to say the least. Qatar are going to buy Manchester United. David De Gea's coming back. Mad. I mean, yeah, the track record's not been spoken about
recently. Enough, that one. He literally said Qatar is going to win next week.
Next week. Yeah, next week. And De Gea's coming back. Both not happening. But still, Sky Sports then ran with a story today. Sky Sports News comes from Rob Dorset and Melissa Reddy. And they said basically the same, that Graham Potter is expected to be high on Manchester United's shortlist of managerial candidates once Ineos are running football operations if, and it's a big if, they decide to part company with Erik Ten Hag. However, it is clear that the current hierarchy at Old Trafford has no plans to change manager, and there has been no approach, even loosely, to any potential successor. Now, they do say the story was first reported by The Sun, and Sky Sports News understands Potter will be considered for the top job at United by the incoming Ineos executives if results do not improve. So there's a lot of if buts and maybes, shall we say, when it comes to all of this, because the suggestion is that if Ineos were to come in, which they are looking likely to come in, that's going to be done very soon, and then they decide we want to change the manager, Graham Potter would be on a list that they would choose from. But at the moment, it's just them doing due diligence. Now, the second part, when it sort of says the current hierarchy at Old Trafford has no plans to change manager and there's been no approach, that kind of feels a bit sort of fluff because the current hierarchy is going to change in a few weeks' time anyway. So why would they want to change the manager? And why would they make any approach? Because they're not going to be in a role in a couple of weeks' time. But it does look like maybe Ineos are doing some due diligence, drawing up some short lists of names of people they would be considering if indeed they decided to make a change when they came in. It's not the first time they've been linked to Graham Potter either. It was reported prior to settling on the current manager of Nice that Graham Potter was essentially offered the job, and Graham Potter said no. And apparently, if you're good enough for Nice, you're good enough to be the Manchester United manager, it would appear at the moment. So take with that what you will. Who wants to start?
You lot talk. I've been talking a lot recently. Cam, Mina, you lot talk, man. Talk. What are you saying?
Yeah. Silence is kind of definitely. Silence is kind of definitely. I mean, maybe we go to Kenny for his opinion.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
I'll start with you, Cam. I'll force it. I'll force it. In the past, because I remember doing some tactical views with you once upon a time, and you've praised Graham Potter's tactics. You've praised, his coaching ability. But have we seen enough in the disaster that was Chelsea for him to stay a million miles away from any semblance of a Manchester United job in the future?
I'm just hoping it's all some sort of weird game that they've got going on behind the scenes, because you mentioned the David De Gea thing. Now you've mentioned the Graham Potter thing. I've sort of got visions of like a football job centre type thing where you've got Neil Custis behind the counter. And if you've not got a job in football at the moment and you want one, you go in, ask really, really nicely, but you've got to keep coming back every day you've not got a job. And eventually you might write an article for The Sun where you get linked with Manchester United. And, do it long enough times, and the club might be stupid enough to pick him up. So that's what I'm hoping to happen, because if there's any truth in this, it's embarrassing. It's pathetic. I've said some good things about Potter in the past. He's done some good work, but I don't see anything at all that he has that Erik Ten Hag hasn't got. So I think if you're going to make any change, go and get somebody that you can make a case for being different or better than Ten Hag at something. I don't see anything or any area where Potter ticks that box, apart from obviously working with some of those people before. And one of the things that we've criticised the Glazers for is hiring people that they know, like Ed Woodward, rather than people that are necessarily best for the job. So I think it's just another one of those situations where Inos are just getting in their guy because they've worked with him before. I don't see anything at all that he's got that Erik Ten Hag hasn't got. And for me, it's an absolute disgrace. I think there's no way... There's no way that I want Graham Potter managing Manchester United. I don't think, in terms of the personal side, managing the dressing room, I don't think he's got the ability to do what Ten Hag's done. I mean, can you see Graham Potter saying to Ronaldo, get out? Can you see him getting rid of David De Gea? Can you see him sidelining Jadon Sancho like that? I think Ten Hag's tried to change the culture tactically. And the bit that annoys me most, actually, forget tactics or whatever, the mistake that Ten Hag's made this season is the exact same mistake Graham Potter made at Chelsea. They've both screwed up completely in terms of the conditioning, and the players can't run. It killed Chelsea last season, or whatever it was for Potter, and it's killed United this season. And nothing that the manager's trying to implement tactically will work at all until that's sorted. In both cases, the season's completely finished. And if they both made the exact same mistake, why would you then go and change the manager for somebody that's just on the same thing? It doesn't make sense.
Is it a Chelsea thing then, Cam? I know this might sound like a stupid question, because he was held in high regard at Brighton. And I'm not trying to say let's get him in, by the way. I'm just going through the timeline of Graham Potter. The same way how like De Zerbi is now, although De Zerbi's kicked him on further, and they're in Europe now. But the wax lyricalness, if that's even a phrase, for Graham Potter before he went to Chelsea was off the scale. It was, wow, look at Brighton, look what they're doing. Tell you what, Chelsea, deserves a shot at a big job. Is it the fact of how miserable it went at Chelsea that's made you think that? Or is it just even bigger than that? Even if he didn't go to Chelsea before that, he's not the right man for Man United.
No, it's even aside of what happened at Chelsea, which obviously isn't a great reflection because it is another big club. But you've got to admit there's a lot of challenges he's had there. If there's players that can't even fit in the changing room.
Yeah, look, it's still going on now at Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even aside from that, though, I don't see anything that he's got that Erik Ten Hag hasn't got. Ten Hag was, we've all seen some of the football that some of his Ajax teams were playing. It's incredible. He's a very, very good coach, and if you give him the right tools for the job and give him a long enough time to actually carry out what he wants to do, he'll get you there. If you bring Graham Potter in, at some point it's going to hit the same sort of thing that's happened with Ten Hag's team this season. You're going to have a really bad run, and you're going to have to push through it. Otherwise, you're just changing manager every 2 years. Someone's got that in the chat there. He's got more hair than Erik Ten Hag. That's it. I see nothing else at all.
It'd be, just truly a remarkable case of failing upwards, wouldn't it? It really, really would. And I get it, like the Chelsea thing, it didn't work out for him. But at the same time, and I agree with Cam. I mentioned it today on Twitter. I saw the European lad, that Twitter account's an Ajax fan. And it was a tweet, and it was from December 7th, 2021. And it says 6 out of 6 Champions League group stage games are winning the Champions League group stage games for the first time in the history of Ajax. History has been written. There's a picture of Erik Ten Hag. That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago this week. 6 out of 6 they won. And if you go to the post and you read the replies underneath it, it's insane. We'll repeat it next season, but with Manchester United. Just want him at United so bad. Come to United. This man is special. The top comment is even more wild. Yo, I just want to point out Anthony is unbelievably skillful and a very entertaining player to watch, right? And it's filled with these United fans saying how great Erik Ten Hag is. And I kind of looked at it and went, so much can change in 2 years, can't it? Because I agree with Cam in the sense of, I said it this morning, I'll continue to say it. Eric Ten Hag's not a bad coach. Like the narrative that Eric Ten Hag's a bad coach because of what's been going on recently, I think is really deeply flawed. I think Eric Ten Hag, and what it feels like, is he is just the latest in a long line of good coaches that have been chewed up and spat out by the rotten institution that is Manchester United. The structure is failed. It is flawed. Even though United overhauled it prior to Ten Hag coming in, they still filled it with yes men and people that won't fit for purpose, like John Murto. Richard Arnold openly says he's not a football man. He's a CEO of a football club. He's on his way out. The recruitment department's failed. The medical department's having an overhaul now because they've done an internal audit for why it's shit. So all that kind of stuff, it's just failed. And that's not to say that Eric Ten Hag hasn't made mistakes. Eric Ten Hag might be, another good coach that couldn't handle that pressure, that mammoth job that is the Manchester United hot seat. So why on earth would Graham Potter be the guy that could? In that he went to a similarly high-pressure job in Chelsea, but that's nowhere near the stature, the pressure, everything that's involved. I mean, Graham Potter went to Chelsea, failed miserably, and it got maybe a fraction of the press coverage of Eric Ten Hag, who had a very successful season last season, still telling him he was rubbish. So if he goes to Manchester United, how is he going to act in that? It's just...
And then his reward for messing up that bad at Chelsea in that way.
United. And what worries me, Flex, is I think there's legs to this. I really do think there's legs to this. The reason why is because Inos, they will have a British core to this. By all accounts, one of their top priorities in terms of a sporting director is Dan Ashworth from Newcastle. Where did they get him from? Brighton. Who did he work with at Brighton? Graham Potter. And they might be looking at, hey, that's synergy. That's everyone on the same page. But my problem is with that is they tried picking up what Brighton did and they put it into Chelsea. And guess what? It failed spectacularly. Who's to say that would work at Manchester United? Why take the risk? Why take the risk from the get-go? And it's just, I don't know. Minna, what do you think?
Well, Minna, just before you say that, Minna, before you give your point, Porter says, Atom K says, Potter has faced it before, and let's remember Chelsea sacked managers for far less, so I see nothing wrong with giving it a try.
I do. We'll get even worse.
I just think, with Graham Potter, I know this is a stupid logic, but people's logic on Ten Hag is, he only won in their division, he only won, Potter's won. What has Potter won? If I was to use the same logic, what has Potter won? And I said this before we came on stream, Flex, don't worry. I said this before we came on stream, that Manchester United is made for serial winning managers. That's the kind of managers that need to come to Manchester United. With Ten Hag, they took a risk. Similar to David Moyes, they took a risk. Jose Mourinho, serial winner. Louis van Gaal has won a few stuff. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took a risk. Ten Hag, I think, falls in the middle of that, where he's not a serial winner like Jose, but he ain't a newbie like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Bringing in Potter would just go 2-3 steps backwards. That's how I see it. And we could talk about his time at Brighton, but let's be real. He did well at Brighton because Brighton have the football structure. They have the infrastructure in place for players and managers to come in and do well enough for Brighton standards. And if we look at, for example, if Inos come in and the first thing that is on their mind is to have a list of managers who can replace the current manager, then they're not serious, because really and truly we should be hearing leaks or whatever in the news about what is their footballing plans, what is the structural plans they have in place. Why am I not hearing about not only the players that they want to get rid of, but I want specifics? Jadon Sancho, we all know he's going. But we look at the core problem at Manchester United right now, which I feel is it's a mix of the management style, and I think it's a mix of the players that are there, and obviously the grand scheme of things, which is the owners. If they are serious about it, why is it the first thing on the list is let's have a bunch of managers that can replace them, like have a list in case we want to replace the manager? And no offense to Graham Potter, but he's not Manchester United standard, and that's not me. That's not me putting up like my nose at him or whatever the saying is. I don't know what is English ain't my first language, so but that saying about turning up my nose to Potter. But for me, the way that I see it is that Eric Ten Hag. I know a lot of people saying ride the storm, ride the wave, all of that kind of stuff. But if the first thing is to be like, let's take 2 steps, 3 steps back by going for a manager that is quite similar I think he's similar to Ten Hag. I think they are personality-wise, I think they're different. I think Ten Hag's a bit stubborn. I think Potter's a bit pragmatic. So I think their coaching styles is quite different, but tactically, they're both good tactical coaches. I think maybe it's the man management side is where they kind of differ. I don't know. I feel like Ten Hag right now can just about control that dressing room. Don't let Potter in there. I think they'll walk all over him.
Well,
Yeah.
unless Ineos, like you say, tear it all up and get those types of big people out of there. Just to answer your question when you said, what has he done? Well, this is what he has done. He has won the Swedish Cup with Östersund. He's come runner-up in the league. He's won the league in 2012. And he won the league there in 2011. So
In
Swedish
Sweden?
champion. Yes.
So,
By that logic, let's bring in Roy Hodgson or someone like that. He's
He
done
also
quite
won
well.
Coach of the Year in 2017 at the Swedish Sports Awards.
okay, that logic, then bring in my cousin. He coaches in Somalia. He's won championships there.
Is he available?
He could be. He could be.
Bring in my cousin. Oh my days. Yeah. Graham Potter can't come Man United. He can't. Like, even just out of my own thing of like laughing at Matisse and Chelsea when they had Potter, he can't come here. Like that just can't happen. Like it's just not the credentials needed. I think we learned a lot about Graham Potter, and some of it, yes, obviously Chelsea are a mess. All right, they had about 100 players. Then they sacked him, obviously brought in Lampard. That didn't work. Like Chelsea are a mess, innit? And they continue to be, even with Pochettino, who actually is a good coach, I think. So there are clearly way more bigger problems at Chelsea than just whoever the manager is. They're going through something where their whole structure, they're working out what it looks like because you've got Todd Bowley who's doing a madness. But even of the things that that you do attribute to him, the tune he was getting out of the players that they did have, you know, some of the style of play that we were expecting to see from Brighton, couldn't get it done, couldn't get it implemented. And I just don't see it. I just don't see that. I'm not for that at all. Listen, we always say in football, anything can happen. And if somebody does end up at your club who you didn't want, whether it's player or manager, you go, right, well, I didn't want them to be here, but I have to see and back it. But we're talking initial responses to him being linked with United. That's all this is right now, because that's what the reports suggest. And one thing I would say is after Sky went so big, well, I'll say Carve went so big with the 50% loss of dressing room and Sky getting a ban along with ESPN and Samuel Luckhurst, all that sort of stuff. I tell you one thing, for Melissa Reddy to go and say that with, who was the other guy who said it?
Rob
Dawson, right?
Two people.
For them to, two people. And then I saw the clip as well when they was on with Joe. Big up to Joe. Good friend of mine. Big up Joe. She's been through a lot. So I like to see her back on there. She's brilliant. But yeah, to see Rob Dorset on there kind of pushing the story. And let's be honest, they've just pissed off Man United. So if they're going to go something as big as that to say that, then Ineos are looking at him. It's weird because Man United can't really push back on that because they could have got that from Ineos. Or
I was just about to say, it depends where the story comes from, isn't it? The story probably doesn't come from United, more so probably comes from Ineos.
Because it's people who aren't even at United yet.
Yeah.
So if they say that, what can you do?
Which makes me go back into it again. I go, my worry is that I think it's got legs. I think it does have legs. Now, I think it kind of does imply, doesn't it, that Ineos maybe haven't made their mind up on Ten Hag yet. And they're sort of saying, well, look, guys, if it continues to get as it is, you're going to force us to make a decision. And I said before, like, I'm not opposed. Like, first of all, I want it to work with Erik Ten Hag. I've always wanted it to work with him. I feel like I don't want to see another manager, a good coach, come in and just get chewed up and spat out because of shitty players and badly run club. Like, I don't want to see that happen. I want to see him turn it around, and I want to see Ineos come in and go, right, we believe in you. We're going to build it around you. And, we sit here a couple of years' time and go, oh, that was amazing. But as time goes on, it does feel like, with everything that's been happening, performances, results, some of Ten Hag's decisions as well. He's not immune from criticism. It's becoming easier for Ineos to make that decision. There's less resistance to make that call at this point.
Well, if they came in and said we want to start again, you'd be like, well, you know what?
And I'm not totally opposed to them coming in and being like, you know what, let's scrap it all. Let's build it properly. Let's go a new CEO. tick. Let's go new sporting director, probably multiple sporting directors, tick. And let's build a manager or put a coach, in a head coach that works in that hierarchy. And we'll get a new recruiting department and we'll sack it off the medical department. I'll be like, you know what? I can get behind
and get rid of a lot of players.
Yeah, and get rid of
And
the players
sign
after that.
off a lot
After
of
that,
players
you know,
and
it goes down that hierarchy. And you go, okay, I can get behind that. But it does depend who they bring in as well, because this is the problem we found ourselves in the first place, is that people are in roles at Man United that aren't fit for purpose, that the job is too big for them. They're not qualified for that position. And no disrespect to Graham Potter, he'd fall into that category. He would, you know, and it's just not. It's not enough to be like, yeah, but he's. I mean, we've said, like with Graham Potter, Mina said it. You know, he worked well at Brighton because he had a good structure around him. But then that is Brighton, and like Erik ten Hag, he worked really well at Ajax. Why? He had a really good structure around him. He had Van der Sar and Overmars. It worked. So that relationship is really, really important. But you still got to have a bit about you, and you, particularly at United, you got to be able to handle that pressure, that media scrutiny. Look, I saw Josh in the chat. He's right. Look how much he aged Graham Potter in a couple of months at Chelsea. And that's with the Chelsea scrutiny. That's a fraction of the United scrutiny. Like, you can't even go into it. And I don't know. But then you argue who is out there that can deal with that.
Solzo is the latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you. Solzo, big up to you. Thank you. Nathaniel says, Erik ten Hag in. Players can't keep getting away with this. Yeah, a lot of people echo that in terms of, you know, complete restructure. But what about also the players ten Hag's bought as well? They don't look great. A lot of them, I'll say. I am skeptical on that.
How many shit signings has Pep Guardiola made? He spent 200 million on fullbacks, then got rid of them all within 2 years because they were all shit. We've got to give. If you want Ten Hag to go and be the best and compete with the best out there, he needs to have the same resources as everyone else. And if everyone else has got that capacity to,
but not everyone has that though. Not everyone. We can't just say that we are. Well, then we should have got Qatar. Then, like, we can't. I don't think we can.
Do, Cam. We need to cook the books. We need to get some fake sponsors and get some charges against us. That's what we need. We need.
Yeah, because ideally, that's why everyone does turn their nose up to the Man City situation of, like, he was able to do that, get rid of this player, didn't work with Claudio Bravo. See you later. Go and get me Edison. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. I get that, but there still was a very quick identification of a lot of good players instantly that he made better as well. Like,
yeah, but that's because they had a structure in place to buy those players for him before he even came in. They had like De Bruyne, they had Sterling, they had whoever else signed in the years before, Otamendi,
Aguero.
Aguero. Everyone else they were
Silva.
Signing the years before before Pep was there, because they had, what was it, the same people from Begaristain or whatever his name is from Barcelona was at City before they got Guardiola. They knew they were going to get Pep at some point. Yeah. They were getting some players in before he'd even started. Ten Hag's not had that, and on top of that, Pep was then able to just rinse and repeat until he got it right.
But I would say Ten Hag hand chose literally his guys. Anthony's awful. He made us spend 80 million on him, and I'm not saying that's it now. He should get sacked just because of that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's on him.
Yeah, but do you not remember in the City documentary when Pep was showing that they were showing the process of how they buy players? Pep's showing Sheikh. I can't remember his name.
Mansour.
Sheikh Mansour. He's showing Sheikh Mansour clips of this player and why he wants him to justify the expenditure. Ten Hag wants a player. Pep wants a player. It should be the same response. Like, yeah, sure, the signing might be useless. Pep's gone and signed Calvin Phillips and he's not played. He's not touched the pitch. Jack Grealish for £100 million. £100 million. Is Jack Grealish really any better than Anthony? Maybe slightly. Maybe that's what the extra 30 million gets you.
He's better than Anthony.
He's better than Anthony.
He's better than Anthony.
But I agree though.
But Jack
he's not
Grealish
100 million.
Overrated.
Yeah, he's not 100 million pounds.
I think he's overrated massively.
Yeah,
but he's a million times better than Anthony.
Yeah, okay, fine, but you get.
I don't think you should. In fact, I don't think you should ever say that again.
What about the Onana one? What about the Onana one?
Cam, a lot of people want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, the Onana one. I do have to say a couple of things. Firstly, when I said get rid of David De Gea, the guy I wanted in was Diogo Costa because I think he's a better goalkeeper all round than Andre Onana. However, what I did think the difference would be was Costa has made mistakes, and I thought he would have taken time to adapt and probably made a lot of mistakes in his first season. The reason I was sort of like, fine, fair enough to Onana was that I thought, because of his personality and confidence, he'd come in and just hit the ground running straight away. He didn't seem like the type of guy that would be fazed by anything and would just perform straight away. And in fairness, in the Premier League, he has done pretty well for most of the season, but he has been absolutely terrible in the Champions League and let's be honest, he's the reason we're out of the Champions League. Not Erik Ten Hag, not any other players. Andre Onana's the reason we're out of the Champions League. So, yeah, that's not worked out too well. But let's not rewrite history. There was absolutely no reason for David De Gea to stay. And that is the reason that he, alongside Graham Potter, remains unemployed almost halfway through the next season.
Unemployed, man. Oh, mate.
Well, what else do you want to say? Jobless?
He might end up going. He might end up going Newcastle. He might end up going Newcastle. He might.
They're not that stupid. There is no way that.
I tell you what, Pope's gone out, and then suddenly they're losing games with Dubravka in goal. Somewhere Marcel's crying. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought Dubravka was the answer, Marcel.
Oh
Jesus.
God, oh my God. Well, Marcel also said we weren't going to lose a game at home this season. That's not aged well at all.
No,
that one.
But I do agree. I do. Oh, sorry. Let me get these. Let me finish these off. Actually, James Bond. Pick up James Bond says, "Sell that Champions League song to City. Come on, you Gunners." Yeah, Arsenal fans in here having a little laugh at our expense. United Nate TV says, "I don't want the manager to be sacked, but his stubbornness will get him the sack if he doesn't start adjusting his approach / accommodating bad players." Well, do you know what? That's a weird one because it's like that's true, but actually, I think he has tried to do that. He's playing McTominay every bloody game. If that ain't trying to accommodate a bad player or whatever and trying to get something out of him, like he's got Harry Maguire going again, or when the injuries have happened, he's had to play Lindelof or Johnny Evans. He's had to put Amrabat left back, or
he's
taken out Rashford. He's taken out Rashford, tried to play Anthony. Like what? Like,
he lies
it
a
don't
lot.
matter.
Though. He lies.
In terms of like when he's saying that we think we played well and that we didn't deserve to lose, or them kind of things.
He said that Johnny Evans was starting over Varane because Johnny Evans can play left-sided centre-back, and then Champions League midweek, Varane was playing left-sided and Johnny Evans came on and played right-sided.
No sense.
The Varane thing was weird. The Varane thing is weird.
It's insane.
You know what I mean, I could get behind the previous excuse, by the way, of that. When he was saying like, "Oh, Maguire," but Maguire's playing well, so he's playing right. So okay, because there's evidence.
I can't get behind it. And I said this at the beginning of the season. And you know what's so funny? I saw it on the UV Clips channel of me questioning Ten Hag after like the Spurs game, I think it was. And I was saying that he says one thing and then he does another. There's like such a long list. He said that Kobbie Mainoo wasn't playing much because he's just returning from injury and he's easing him in. He started Luke Shaw 4 games in a row. That's contradictory in that case. It's like he has one rule for others and another rule.
That's different with age and experience, though, is it not? With
no,
Luke Shaw?
It's not. It's like
played for a decade. Kobbie Mainoo started his first Premier League game for United against Everton.
I think the reason he's playing Luke Shaw at centre back for half of those games isn't because necessarily needs him at centre back. It's to get him on the pitch because he's good, but also give him less load. Because obviously, at a fullback, you're getting up and down all the time. Centre back, you're doing a lot less running.
So is that him saying that Luke Shaw can't run?
I think also nature of the injury, isn't it? Nature of the injury too. I mean, Kobbie Mainoo had a serious knee injury that kept him out for 4 months, something like that. Luke Shaw's was a muscular injury. I think it was something like that. And again, he's played for a decade nearly at United, maybe. So I think that one's. I think the Varane one. I don't actually know the explanation anymore of that. I think he just changed his mind. I think he just changed his mind
because especially in that moment as well. Like when they both were on the pitch together
and
the things that you said, yeah. But then he's probably thought in that moment, well, Varane's been playing left centre back this whole game. Let me just not upset that rhythm right now. I probably wouldn't choose to start with that. But even when they both played, I know he said he doesn't like either of them left centre back, but it was Varane who was the left centre back instead of Maguire. And Varane done all right. It's like he's not going to be the most progressive. And this is what we're saying though. Like, okay, cool, there's no Leacher, so we lose a lot. Okay, cool. At this moment, there's no Luke Shaw. But Johnny Evans doesn't exactly give you what Leacher would give you or Luke Shaw as a left centre-back. Victor Lindelof certainly doesn't give you that. So you don't have a direct replacement for him anyway. So just play whoever the best defender is. It's not
Johnny
like
Evans
Varane's going to try
crazy
ball.
Season so far. Just
that ball. And to be fair, Lindelof, though, in his time playing, he does that ball over the top through to Rashford. He can, he's done that quite a few times. He has. And he's hit it over. Remember, there was a season, was it in COVID or just the one after
You're thinking again, the game against Leeds, first game of the season, a couple of seasons
ago.
Yeah,
not that one. And then there was one in Champions League against, not Sociedad. I can't remember who it was against, but and it started to become a thing that like that little ball he's got over the top, like he can fizz it. And yeah, he can do it. But he's not Leacher, is what I'm saying, right? So my thing is that Varane ain't going to come in and, like you said, be the most progressive on the ball. get the big Harry Maguire switch in his locker. He's not as good on the ball as Harry Maguire with space and time. He's not. But he'll keep it simple and do the right things and defend properly. And when we're shit, I would much rather have that until Lisandro Martinez gets back or Luke Shaw gets back if you want to put him in there for a bit than what we did, you know? And
you're playing one game a week
sense.
now, by the way. So for the whole thing about not playing every 3 days, you're playing one game a week. And also, this is kind of the thing with it too, before we get to that super chat, is like you talked about like, who, you know, selection and stuff like that. But the team against Bournemouth, when that team came out, maybe apart from like Martial, I think everyone went like,
that's the team. Good.
Yeah, because they played
so
well
after Chelsea, we were like, good.
Yeah.
And
then we lose 3-0.
What did we say? At most, put Luke Shaw back to left back. Fair play, because that, you know, Reguilon wasn't really it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We were saying Luke Shaw centre back, Reguilon. Yeah.
But that's my thing about, like, it doesn't matter who plays. We always end up back at this, which means there's a much bigger problem. Double R says, quick, genuine question, a bit off topic. Of the managers we had post Sir Alex Ferguson, rank our best football manager. By manager. When I say best, I mean most entertaining, and yes, entertaining in a good way. Well, it has to be Oli for the first 17 games.
I'm going to say I've seen a lot of revisionist Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stuff. Because
it's not saying bring him back, but to answer that question.
I've seen the comps, on Twitter going, we were cooking. And they show games, which, by the way, we lost. We lost some of those games, but people are happy that we scored a good goal in it. And I'm like, do people forget that, like, after those games, we cussed out the manager to the end of the day, being like, this game was shit and we lost. One of them was like a game against Wolves away, and it's like the second game of the season or something like that.
I remember that. I was there.
Yeah, and they were like, great, but we didn't win that game. Like, this is what I don't get with like the revisionist history. Like, it was great. Like, even with Jose, they go, it was great under Jose. Well, first season we won the trophies, but in the league, we struggled in the league that season. We went through a long period of not losing a game. We went through a period of drawing like a million games in a row. I remember they talked about Louis van Gaal. I was a season ticket holder for his second season there. And let me tell you, across Christmas, it was dire at Old Trafford because we didn't win in like 6 games. And we had like 10 0-0s in that season as well.
Loads of possession. We keep the ball quite well, actually. But in terms of penetration and final moments and scoring goals, it was just dross. It was. So...
no, but then 4 months, December to March under Oli, that was a good time.
That's what I'm saying.
It was great.
Good vibes. Oli's at the wheel, give him the contract. It's so sad. This is pathetic what we're saying right now. But the question from Double R says, when I say best, I mean most entertaining. And yes, entertaining in a good way. Like, when I was going to games and we were on the counter attack with bloody Dan James flipping running like a madman and bloody sometimes Jesse Lingard and Martial up front and sometimes whether Rashford off the left or, you know what I mean, before we got Bruno and that, like Pereira and a 10. Like
when we went to the Emirates in the FA Cup against Arsenal, picked them off on the counter attack. Even Sanchez scored.
We were like, like for those little crap 17 games or whatever it was before he got the contract. That's the answer, which is pathetic, but that's the truth. Dan Bryan 90 says, Brighton under Potter destroyed us. Chelsea are a mess. No manager could have sorted it. I stand by Eric Ten Hag, but if the board choose to move on, we could do worse. So he's saying it wouldn't be that bad if we got him. Memphis Depay says, sorry, I'd rather have Oli back than Graham Potter. Oh, bloody hell. Nah, I think I'd rather Graham Potter if I had to choose that. Yeah. Memphis Depay says, despite being unsuccessful, Eric Ten Hag has a 60% win percentage at Man United. That's second to Pep and Klopp only. Mikel Arteta is 58%. Facts. Obviously, he's played more games, but yeah, that's interesting. WJ Barrett says, I'm nearly there, Ten Hag. He not the one. WJ Barrett's teetering on the edge.
WJ Barrett as well. He's a positive one.
Yeah, exactly. Game Fanatic says Pep still got results with shit signings. Eric Ten Hag not. And not until he fine-tuned it. Matty Farley says, don't compare Eric Ten Hag and Pep Cam. They are miles apart. And Aminor Cam's face. Aminor says, big up Aminor. He says, Cam, can Mainu be Busquets? McTominay is our Fellaini.
Don't ever compare McTominay to Fellaini, ever.
It's true.
No,
he is better than Fellaini. He is.
He ain't far off, Mina.
They come on and score a goal, and then they get praised for scoring a goal, but they offer nothing else actually to the whole team. And we praise them because they're the only one that scores a goal.
Mina, why do you think don't ever do that? What are you saying?
He could have laced Fellaini's boots.
Oof. Did impact the game a bit more physically, bring the ball down, couldn't really get it off him.
The only thing him and Fellaini have in common is they're probably the same height.
Nah, McTominay's a better player than Fellaini.
Nah.
Who's better,
Let's
McTominay or
get
Fellaini?
a poll. Let's get
The
a poll.
middle.
going in the
We're
chat.
doing the middle.
Get in the mud.
We're doing the
We
middle.
are-
He scored. It's true. He has scored. He's probably scored more goals for United. But then, on that logic, then Cam, he should start every game, right?
What? Because he scored more goals than Fellaini, who's not in the squad.
But no, you're saying that he's better than Fellaini because he scored more goals for United.
Yeah.
So based on that logic, he scored more goals than Højlund. He should play up top.
No, I didn't say that means you should play.
Nah, based on that logic,
No, it's not the same
he
at all.
he
Is it?
scored more goals than Amrabat. Play him in midfield. Keep playing him there.
Why do you want goals from your defensive midfielder?
Literally, I'm using your logic. You said he's a better player than Fellaini because he scored more goals and they've played in a similar role, right?
If I have a
Alright,
choice
bench
between Fellaini and
Bench
McTominay,
Bruno
start
and play
McTominay.
McTominay. Bench Bruno and play McTominay.
Why do you
scored more
think,
goals.
Mina? Why do you think Fellaini is better than
When his
McTominay?
head's gone.
I just think Fellaini's done more for the team.
Well, then you could argue at Cam's point. Then McTominay's done more for the team by scoring goals.
No, because it's done nothing for us. Look where we are. We suck. What did we win with Fellaini? At least we won something. I'm sure we won something with
Yeah,
him.
was it
I
down
think
to
we did win
Marouane
the-
though? Was it down to
He
Marouane?
came on and scored some important goals.
To be fair, he was quite. I think he was quite important in the Europa League because Mourinho just.
Yeah, he
played
came in
anti-
his
anti-football,
semi-final,
didn't
got us through to the final. I remember he scored in that one.
he? In the final as well. Mourinho just played. He played from memory as Pogba and Fellaini. He just played long ball to both of them, didn't he?
And it worked. This is
Yeah,
literally us
starting at
comparing
Europa League
rubbish and
final.
rubbish. We're literally
I've-
debating rubbish and rubbish.
I'm having Fellaini over Scott.
Me too.
Who's better passer of the ball, McTominay or Fellaini?
McTominay. Definitely
Fellaini.
No,
Fellaini.
McTominay's got a long switch in his locker. Actually, I've got a better
When?
question. I think we need three people in this comparison. Fellaini with the afro, Fellaini without the afro. Or Scott
Oh, yeah.
McTominay.
Difference. There's
So
a
there
massive
was a big,
difference.
there was a big
There was a
difference in those two.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does he used to do? Run.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, at the back. At the back.
KG
yeah,
says he
yeah.
had to remind everyone who he was. And Fellaini.
Marouane. Nah, mate. I'm saying Marouane over Scott all day, mate. I'm saying.
Well, the poll agrees. The poll agrees. The 68% of the people who have voted thus far, it's only been up for a minute, say Marouane Fellaini better than
Fellaini
Scott
revisionism.
McTominay.
You're talking about Ole revisionism. This is even worse.
No one's saying bring him back. We're just
Cam's lost his head.
He was better. He was
Cam's
better.
lost his head.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But just to finish off on that, the Graham Potter thing, I agree with Owen. I think there's legs in it. In terms of Ineos would look at him. Remember when they had that thing about put the Manchester back in Manchester United, the whole British core of trying to go down that route. There has been other reports about the types of players they would try to sign as well. I don't know. I just feel like that would be an Ineos, very Ineos-like move to do that. But there's still. That's what I was wanting to ask Cam and Mina actually, because me and Owen have kind of discussed this. We're all. Have you realised that because like we're doing crap and we know Ineos are coming, yeah, we're assuming like they just get this power, you know, the roadmap's what we want to see. Like we don't know none of this yet. They haven't actually got here and said what's going to happen, how quickly going to start changing. Like we still don't know. Are you too confident? Like it is what it says. It is what it's being portrayed to be. They're going to come in, get full sporting control, start making changes and restructure us.
I've not got a clue. I'll be honest. No one outside of Ineos. Well, to be honest, no one outside of Joel and Avram Glazer probably have a clue what's going to happen. They like it's been going. I thought this would have been done a month, 6 weeks ago at least, but it's just kept dragging on. It could. Would anyone be that surprised at this point if we're here in 6 months' time with nothing having changed?
No. Oh, we'll just change it all at the end of the season. That's when it'll be better. You know, we'll just do it then.
Well, it was all we're going to get it in place for the January window. Now it's it might be done some point through January, and you never know. We don't want to make a change in the middle of the season. Don't want to mess things up because the Glazers respect Manchester United as a football club, so they wouldn't want to do anything controversial during the season, would they? So they might have to wait till the end of the season and see what happens then.
Is that something that Ten Hag's got going in his favour though? The fact that because this keeps dragging on, then everything's kind of frozen in place anyway.
Otherwise, this weekend would be even stickier for Ten Hag than it's going to be anyway.
Mm. Do you agree with that, Mina? And what's your thoughts on the Ineos thing as well?
Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what changes with a small percentage of ownership. It's one of them ones where it's like we have to wait and see. Because I've seen people debating whether this is better than nothing, i.e., this is better than Glazers' full ownership.
Yeah. Do you feel like some type of change or potential change is better than just having it how it was with Ed Woodward here or Richard Arnold? Just them guys just still there, just doing whatever this thing is.
Because I feel like the Glazers will still be involved. Just because they ain't running the sporting side doesn't mean that they probably won't be making decisions or get the final say or all of that kind of stuff. Maybe that Ineos is changing the sporting direction of the club, but surely it will still have to be authorized by the Glazers because you're telling me that 1.4 million buys you complete control of the club where you make all the decisions. That doesn't sound right. Like that really doesn't sound right. So it's one of them ones where it's like we just have to see. We just have to wait and see. We have to wait and see when they come in. What's the sporting direction? What's the players they're going to get rid of? Who's the players they're going to bring in? What's the plan for the manager? I saw a report that was basically suggesting that when they come in with their sporting idea, it's basically their sporting project will be able to survive regardless of who the manager is. So the way that the style of football that they want to see the club playing can survive regardless of the manager turnover. And for me, I think that's a good thing because, like, for example, you kind of look at the teams that have good sporting structures or good football structures, and they have a style of football that, if a new manager comes in, they can continue it, they can develop their academy, develop their young players, etc. But then what does that mean for Ten Hag? Even if Ten Hag manages to steady the ship, say by January, February, that's not me saying he might last that till then because he might actually not. But if he's able to steady the ship by January, February, what if their football philosophy and his football philosophy doesn't match up? It's not the same. Then what? I feel like there's just a lot of questions kind of surrounding this takeover, but I don't have hope for anything. As long as the Glazers are involved, there's just nothing. There's no light at the end of the tunnel.
This is what I was bringing up previously. I still think there are massive questions that I think have kind of been lost, not out of like optimism or hope or naivety. I think it's just been lost because it's taken so long. Like questions people had initially, and then you get nothingness for a couple of months. So you kind of forget. And then when stuff does happen, you almost welcome it because it's just something happening. And you go, oh, cool. Like, I guess there's movement now. But there's still really valid questions like they're going to have football in control. What does that mean? What does that even look like? There's a footballing committee. Okay, who's on that committee? And they go, well, Joel Glazer's on it because he's still a majority owner. Oh, yeah, so he's on the committee, but he's not going to have majority power. And then I get people explaining to me what majority means. And they go, wow, if it's a 3-person committee and 2 people outvote him, then he's not going to have majority. And you go, but he's the majority owner still. So is there going to be something written into that he can veto it? You're telling me someone that for the last however many years has signed off and blocked really big decisions at Manchester United is suddenly going to be like, I'll take a back seat on all this kind of stuff. We're talking about ego the size of Manchester and beyond. It's the same reason Anthony Martial's still at the club. Reminds him of Pele. It's the same reason he don't want to get like, Harry Kane or whoever it may be. They're too old, no resale value, this, that, and the other. The same reason that when Jose was here and he wanted to get rid of these people, he was like, no, keep them. So we're saying that this suddenly he's had a reality check and he's like, no, I don't. Okay, Jim, you've paid your money. That's cool. You've helped us out because we needed the money and you've lined our pockets. It's not putting that into the club, by the way. You're putting the money into the club. But so because of that, you've paid to play essentially. Now, we'll let you do the footballing decisions. And then also bigger picture. What does the roadmap even look like? Are you still going to be able to buy the whole club in the future? Is there put and call options? Like, is there going to be certain dates where you're negotiating? Have you negotiated all that? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Mina saying there is none. If it came out that there was, by this date, potentially Ineos could own the majority of Manchester United, I think we can hold on to that. We can be like, cool, we can get behind that. But there are still all of those questions that are really the biggest questions. And then you've got other questions which are, so who's the manager going to be then? Like what sporting directors you're going to get in? We think we know who the CEO is going to be. What's the Dave Brailsford's job going to be? Because bear in mind, he's got no footballing experience. He's got sporting experience. So all of those questions still remain. So and it almost makes who's the Man United manager feel quite insignificant. as well, to be honest with you. And you can kind of get your head kind of lost in all of it, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely can, because it's the uncertainty, it's the fear of the unknown. Like, we're just banking on Ineos coming in and trying to change stuff. Most of us wanted Qatar to come in and just really wipe this whole thing clear all the debt, pledge over $1 billion/1 billion into what needs to happen, build a new stadium, just literally gut it out. But now it's like we have to do this phased gutting, and maybe not even, we don't even know if, like you said, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe has that, you know, by 2026 or 2027, he has access to a full buyout at these shares or whatever it is. But it is weird. Who would spend 1.4 billion or whatever it is he's getting for 25% and just have that? But then you have to make all the sporting decisions, so you hand over that power. But like Mina said, the majority shareholders, which should still be the Glazers, surely will get final say. You know, when you have to sign off on this player and that player, the majority of the money that's pumped into Man United, which isn't much, or is nothing, because the Glazers don't do that. Where's it going to come from? How much does Sir Jim have? How much can he put in, even as a 25% owner? Is there restrictions of how much he can even put in, because he's only a minority? What?
You're going to fix the stadium, but you don't own the club. By the way, that stadium, that's going to cost like $1 billion to fix, by the way. Oh, yeah. So
he's got 250.
He's going to come up with that money. Oh, it's going to be Jim. Oh, so Jim owns the club. No, Jim only owns 25%.
It's like someone telling you that you have to rebuild like the house, but you don't live in the house, you live in the shed.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like I said, you're buying 25. You're buying 25% of a restaurant. You're buying 25% of the Ivy, but you've got the biggest decision, which is what goes on the menu. But you don't. But you don't own the whole restaurant.
You've got all the responsibility, and the Glazers have all most of the share. Exactly, and then it's also like you're saying, well, that doesn't make sense. Does Sir Jim Ratcliffe then have to say, also, in order to buy that next batch, I need to go out and find other people to help me do it. So then it becomes Ineos and bloody another sporting group that now own. Like, what does it look like? Can Ineos afford to where's he going to get that money from? Does he need to go in Dragon's Den and go to Stephen Bartlett and Gary Neville and say, I've got this idea, right? G-Nev, you're Man United legend. Bartlett, you love Man United. I'm sure I saw your tweet, even though I'm not sure it's real because it got taken down. Yeah, but I've seen you talk. I've seen you on a Diary of CEO with Gary Neville, so I do know you support Man United. That was real. You know, I own 25% of it. I want to get to 70%, so I want you guys to come in. So I'm offering you for this much and this much percent of the business. Gary's like, no, not for Manchester United, no, and flipping. Bartlett's like, yeah, well, I'd love to, but you know, what are you going to do? Go on Dragon's Den, Sir Jim? What does it look like? And these are the things we have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. Anton Francis says, who would players rather play under, Eric Ten Hag or Potter?
I guess we'll never know. Actually, I shouldn't say that because we might know.
Yeah, we might see them running when Potter gets here. Red Baron says, Bean Jose out, Ollie out, Van Gaal out, Moyes out. With Ten Hag, I'm not shouting to get him out of the club because I've finally grown up and seen true issues. Ineos isn't going to own the club, guys. No. Oh, you mean eventually in any entirety, they're not going to be majority owners. I mean, if that, what does that look? I can't do that. Because why would the only reason the Glazers, the more we think about this Ineos thing,
it hurts your head.
The Glazers, yeah, because the only reason the Glazers would give up that much power is to be able to sit in the wings and let someone else take the fall. Not me, it's them. They're doing the football thing. We listened. We got people. Yeah, you know, we're just in the back taking our little dividends out on each year that goes past where there isn't more percentage added to Jim. So, you know, in year one, he can maybe get to 35%, 45%. I'm just making a layman's term thing here. And eventually he owns 75% or whatever it is, right? Each year that they stay doing that, they've won. They've done us up like kippers, mate. Like, they said the club was for full sale. It wasn't. They had a world record bid. They had a world record bid. An amount of money that's never been exchanged for a football club or a sporting franchise or institution ever on the table. They didn't take it. So if this was just about...
Not enough.
Yeah, not enough. if this is about that, then no. So they obviously still feel that Man United still has something to offer them, and it's better that they keep hold of most of it for now.
They
While
probably
someone
feel
else
like,
comes in.
I think they feel like they could probably still make money for about a couple more years from the club while selling a small percentage, which they did. So they made 1.4 billion from what? 25% of their shares. And then they will still make money because the club will still generate revenue. They'll probably get their dividends. 3-4 years down the line, they could decide, okay, let's sell it again. They've made money. They're making even more. They're probably making all the money that they probably wanted to make from Sheikh Jassim. Because let's be real, I don't think they were ever going to sell to Sheikh Jassim and Qatar unless they met the criteria, i.e., they knew that the Qataris got money. So they knew that they can basically put an extortionate price and in the hopes that they would pay it. But obviously they walked away from that. Now they're probably thinking, well, we've made 1.4 billion. We're going to continue to make money for the next couple of years because the club's going to be a profitable club. And then 5 years down the line, we can try to sell it again. At that point, they would have made the 8 billion or 9 billion that they probably would have wanted from the Qataris. So they're playing the long game. I think they're playing the long game.
And bear in mind, like this deal from Inos does value, the keyword being value, the club at roughly the price the Glazers were looking at, right? Because he's spent, was it close to 1.5 billion for 25%? You round it up to get to 100, you get close to 6 billion. Like that, and that's what they were looking for. So that's going to be really interesting to see if they have put in those, like, I don't know, because again, I don't know how it works. I'm not a financial expert, but if they put in those sort of negotiation things, if we were to buy this at this date, it would cost this amount. Then clearly, surely it's going to be for minimum 6 billion or maybe even more. And then you get back into the question, can Ineos even afford that? Because they couldn't this time around. They were only going for, was it 69%, and that didn't work out. And then if the Glazers are right in terms of their calculations, their point of view as well, if we wait a couple more years, more money going in the Champions League, more money going into the Club World Cup. There's obviously a North American World Cup coming up soon. They're American based. They think football's going to explode even more in that continent. So it's going to be even more popular. Media rights go through the roof. They've just signed a contract, but in a few years' time, Premier League will sign another one. Might not even be with broadcasters at that point. Might be completely centralized and they sell the whole package as their own streaming service. How much is that worth too? Like suddenly, football, it could double in value in the next few years. And suddenly, Manchester United's worth double as much. And they might think, like Mina said, they just go, actually, you know what? We'll sit back. We've made some money here, enough that we wanted. A couple of years' time, we might get more, and we'll get a lot more actually about it. So it's just disgusting.
It is. People, let's get to 400 likes, says Lil Yo-Yo. We're at a couple of hundred, just over 220. If we could get to 400, that'd be amazing. We'll end that poll. 65% went with
that poll.
I forgot about that. That was just a bit of fun. I wanted to ask you guys because obviously in a few days' time we go to Anfield, just away from all of this part of stuff. Cam, I'll start with you first. So I know you do tactics and talk about different things and break down the thing and all that. Any chance what can happen? There's no Bruno. We don't know what are you saying? What do we do?
I don't even want to talk about it. We've got Bruno's ducked the game. Luke Shaw's ducked the game. Tactical injury in the previous. He might be actually injured. I don't know. I don't care at this point. We're in big trouble. I think the bit that worries me is Ten Hag's been very, very stubborn, and it's something that sort of worries. I think a lot of people have said we have no identity under Ten Hag. We can't see what he's trying to do. The bit that worries me more is that I can see what we're trying to do, and at the moment we can't execute it well. And if you play a team again like Liverpool, it could be double figures. Honestly, I think if we keep doing what we've been doing in terms of the sort of man-to-man defending, bearing in mind our players cannot run, all it will take is anything after 25 minutes. If we get the ball down the other end of the pitch, anywhere near the Liverpool box, that's when I'd be most worried because all it will take is 2 passes. Yeah. And you'll have Gakpo, you'll have Nunes, you'll have Salah, you'll have whoever it was, same as last year, just running straight through the middle of the team. No one anywhere near being in a position to stop anything. And that will happen time and time again until the 37th minute. So in that 12 minutes, we'll be 4-0 down. The players will probably then just decide, well, what's the point? I'm just giving up now. We'll get into half time. Ten Hag's, I don't know what he's supposed to say. I'll do at half time at that point. We'll come out in the second half. Maybe Klopp will take pity on us and say, look, just relax. But he's not like Pep. There's been a few games against City where Pep must have just told them, right, don't score anymore, just pass the ball around. And it is painful being in the stands for those games. Painful.
Yeah, awful.
That 2-0 at Old Trafford was like that.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Another quick question for Cam. In a press conference a couple of weeks ago, Ten Hag was asked about the midfield and said, we noticed you've gone man for man in midfield. And he shot it down. Like, really, he went, no, we don't. He went, we don't go man for man. We play zonal. It just looks like it's man to man because we're not doing it properly. Is that a real answer? Is that a real thing?
I think, look, to an extent, I was a bit surprised when he said that, because if you look at pretty much all the time this season, it has looked like it's man to man. I think there's two things there. One, I think there's probably not quite enough training time, because it is a difficult thing for players to work out when. I think the transition between pressing high man-to-man and then dropping back into a zonal shape is a really difficult one to know when to do, because if you get it wrong, you miss out on an opportunity to potentially nick the ball back and have a really good chance. But you do have to do a lot of running to get back into shape. So it is a difficult one. But I think the big problem is they number one, don't want to do it, in terms of don't have the desire to get back into shape and support their teammates behind them. But number two as well, I just don't think they can. In all honesty, I think the players are too exhausted to be making those decisions at the moment at different times. And for me, that's why players like Scott McTominay are playing every game. And I think by all accounts, one of the things before this season that you'd say about McTominay, whenever he played, and the same with someone like Fred, for example, you'd say they would always be one of the hardest workers on the pitch. If you look at Scott McTominay this season, I wouldn't say it's been a single game where I've thought he's one of the hardest workers on the pitch, even more so than position players.
Exactly.
That tells you the state of United physically at the moment. That a player who, say what you want about everything else he does, physically he's always been a machine, an absolute monster, running more than anybody else on the pitch. He now can't. The number of players that can't do that now, that's why Ten Hag's got to play these players. And when even those players that were previously physical are struggling to keep up with the demands of a Premier League game, you know we are seriously screwed. Chelsea got killed by it because Lampard screwed them over in pre-season when he made that mistake. United now, until that gets sorted, and the only way you can sort it mid-season is just saying next 2-3 weeks, the games don't matter, results don't matter. We're just going to get the fitness sorted now. And you can't really do that at Man United. Until that happens, United are in big trouble. And it doesn't matter what you play. I think Ten Hag's tactics are making it worse because it's so... He plays such an intense brand of football, relying on so many sprints, so many high-intensity runs, that obviously if you're having a shortfall in that aspect, it looks even worse. But United would be in trouble even if we played zonally and defended deep. I think it's that bad of a situation we're in. And look, I guess you say you never know what happens in football, but I think we all do know what's coming to us on Sunday.
Yeah, Mina, what are you saying?
Yeah, I just hope it's just respectful.
Do you think it's going to be embarrassing?
Well, they got like 7,000 more fans there.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Like, as if the other...
AGT told me that about 900,000 times.
They got... I think it'll make a big difference, because I do feel like, Anfield is a fortress, let's admit. It's a big stadium to go to, especially as Manchester United. Especially as Manchester United. So I just hope it's a respectful scoreline. Give me 2-0, I'll take it. But also, I just want to see effort. Let's not even talk about scoreline or who walks away the points. Just performance-wise, I just want to see effort for 90 minutes straight. And I think that's me asking for too much, because this season I don't think I've seen effort for 90 minutes straight. I don't think I've seen that. So it's kind of optimistic to ask for that a game against Liverpool at Anfield. But I'm just hoping that the boys are up for it. I said this about, what's so funny? I say this going into every game. I say, I hope the boys are up for it. I hope they're up for a performance. I hope
There's
they're
no
up
evidence to suggest that they are.
I feel like inevitably, 60th minute, capitulation. Like, we're just going to see people walking. We're going to see people tired. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people even saying, like, they might not even watch the game. Like, they've booked themselves to do other stuff so that they don't have to watch the game. It will be interesting, but I ain't got a score prediction. I just want to see effort. That's it. How low the bar is.
What was you going to say, Cam?
I was going to say, I think as much as the group of players are pissing me off with a lot of the stuff they do all the time, I do think they are trying. I think it's just a point where they're just not in the right shape.
It's not good enough. They're just not good. Yeah, like
I think the number of
not good
Chelsea.
enough,
Chelsea's a great example. In that first 20 minutes, we should have been 3 or 4-0 up. We didn't have it in, them. And after that, we just faded. And I think in every game that's going to happen because they're just not in the right state to do it. I think they're finding it so frustrating. You can see in the body language. I think for the first time, I've seen with other managers, you can see them sort of having a go at each other, not very happy, all that sort of stuff. I think they want to be doing the right things. I think they are trying. I think fitness-wise, they just don't have it in them to do it. They can't.
And mentality, though. I'm going to say mentality as well because I don't see people dead on their feet busting that gut. I don't. We don't have those type of characters. And on top of that, I see like young, like I know it's like going towards the pinnacle of European football. Someone like Bayern Munich, Kim Min-jae and Upamecano, but the golfing class is going to be similar to, when Rasmus Højlund's trying to, be a battering ram against Van Dijk. He's just going to smoke a cigar, mate. Like when Alejandro Garnacho, I know Trent's not the best at right back. I get that in terms of if you run at him. But like the physicality, like he just got ate up by Missouri and Upamecano when he came over to sweep across. He couldn't do anything. Anthony is the same thing. And don't get me wrong, it is against Tsimikas, who's, okay, he's not prime Andy Robertson. But I look at our front three and I'm like, against like really, really strong teams, I'm like, nah. Then obviously you've got McTominay and Amrabat, and you're like, what's that gonna do? Yeah. There's no, and again, it could be a better thing that Bruno's not playing because there's no emphasis on trying to find a magical ball. So you just got to play Mainu, Amrabat, and McTominay, or
would you rather have
Hannibal going in there kicking people?
Would you rather have McTominay and Fred, and then McTominay and Amrabat?
Amrabat's he's
Fred
shit.
Can get about the pitch. I'll leave it at that. Fred can get about the pitch.
Amrabat's more consistent passer, I'd say, but that's because Fred.
Give me Amrabat and Fred.
But I mean, in that game specifically, if you could pick McTominay and Fred, or McTominay and Amrabat,
it doesn't matter, does it? We had Fred last year, didn't we? We lost it,
That's true.
just trying to.
But it's true. Like I'm just looking at it. I'm just like the golf is just, and then the minerals to say, look, even though like we're not playing well and people can't score, they will have their heart on the sleeve. They are going to do a madness. They're going to be so difficult to break down. Compact block. Liverpool are going to get frustrated. We're going to defend well at least, and if we can nick one, I can't say that level of application is going to be there. So yeah, it's peak. Let me get these stats out before we finish off. Busquets, would you prefer that? There you go. Red Baron. Oh no, I've read that one. Lil Yo says, Fleck, please find this Stephen Bartlett tweet. It's gone. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've read it and I remember reading it thinking, bloody hell, that is an unpopular opinion. He was basically saying we should just give Erik Ten Hag a new contract. Unpopular opinion. Give him a new contract. Say that we're backing him. Show the players that they ain't going to win. It's the only thing we haven't done in these 10 years is actually show like, no matter what happens, this manager's not going anywhere. And a lot of people were saying, actually, yeah, you know what? Yeah, cool. But I saw it and I went to go read it this morning. He must have deleted it. I don't know. I swear to God, I saw it. WJ Barrett says, just paused the show and got my pre-order. Pre-order? Is that pre-order?
Order. It's just order.
It's P. Oh, yeah, because there's a typo. I've got my order from Argos and come back to hear Mina and Cam debating Fellaini and McTominay. We are dead, guys. Dead, and I hate it. Yeah, I know. I hear you. And WJ Barrett says, and there's a poll. I refuse to... yeah, I refuse to vote. We are so dead. But who did you choose in the end? I want to know. Red Baron says the biggest difference I see from United and Liverpool, City, Arsenal is that their players are intelligent and know when to drop into zones. But also they just work really hard at all times. Intensity. Even if it ain't going right, they all get their heads down. They all work. And I don't see that from us. WJ Barrett says the fact that Cam is talking about double figures against Liverpool and nobody else gets whacked by 7 means he's the wrong guy. It only happens to us. God, WJ Barrett's had enough, mate. And Memphis Depay says 7K more fans because beating us is their trophy. Well, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Well, 7K more fans because the new stands open. The part of the stands opening up, right? Isn't that
yeah.
the reason?
Yeah. It was new
they gave
fans.
us a smaller away allocation as well.
Oh, did
Did they?
They gave us an away allocation based on the smaller size, knowing probably full well.
The opening up the stand. Yeah, disgrace.
Steffi, that's what. Oh, did she maybe change it to Jenkins? Maybe today. Oh, she nearly done me. She nearly done me. Maybe she did change it on purpose. But she said, "Is it on his community post of his YouTube channel, Flex?" I saw it on Twitter. I saw Stephen Bartlett, blue tick, unless it was a fake account, say unpopular opinion. We should give to, and then after that, he was replying to loads of people in the thread. I saw it. Someone please find it, or do the mad cryptic thing where you know how to look at deleted tweets because you're just savvy with all the technology. Please find it.
I'll tell you what, Fleck, we need Stephen Bartlett in the midfield for United because that guy's work rate is unbelievable. I've seen him, like you see him everywhere. I've seen him on like billboards. I've seen him on like YouTube ads. I've seen him. You see him everywhere you go. I got so sick of seeing his face. And in the summer, I was on a BA fight, I remember. And you pop up on the safety video, and he's from fucking there as well. This guy is everywhere. You can't get rid of him. He's like a rash.
How do you really feel about Stephen Bartlett, Cam?
Yeah, tell us the truth.
Big up Stephen Bartlett. Big up Stephen Bartlett. Anyway, big up to Mina, big up to Cam, big up to Owen, big up to you guys at home. Make sure you smash a video on the way out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the morning view, 9 a.m. sharp. Of course, press conference day as well. What on
We've
earth
got a
is
guest tomorrow
Martin
morning
saying?
as well, Flex, in the morning view.
Oh, yes, and KG will be here as well. Well, let's wait to see in the morning if he's actually here first.
Hey.
That's why I didn't want
He
to
said to
confirm it, 'cause
me,
might-
he said to me he's going to be there.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. Who knows with KG? And like I said, press conference day as well. Let's see what Ten Hag has to say going into this game. Will he wind people up with some of the things that he's going to say? Will he sound defeatist? Will he sound deluded? Will he sound strong and galvanizing? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, take care. Thanks for watching. Peace.